In 2020, right before COVID, I had a seizure. I was in gym class and I noticed my toe was hurting a lot, and we were doing an exercise called mountain climbers. If you don't know what that is, it's basically just a push up, but you kick your feet into the ground. Not the greatest exercise for someone with a toe injury. I wasn't bleeding though, so after school I got a doctor's appointment scheduled to find out what was going on, and they found out I had an ingrown toenail. And if you don't know what that is, it's your toenail just grows inside of your toe instead of outside. This causes pain on its own, let alone kicking it into the ground during a mountain climber. And so a toe surgery was scheduled about 2 weeks in the future. But I had to go to school the next day, of course. And I had gym. And I told my gym teacher, who I will call Mrs. R, I asked Mrs. R if I could sit out and not do mountain climbers. Mrs. R said no. She said I needed a doctor's note to sit out of an exercise, otherwise they won't let me sit out. Which is fair. I'm sure there's a lot of kids lying to get out of an exercise or whatever, if there's like fake excuses, I'm sure. But I didn't have a doctor's note because it was a scheduled appointment in the future. So I just didn't do the exercise, and I ended up getting an F in gym class, but I didn't really care because I'd rather save my toe than get a good grade. I would still participate in other exercises and activities that weren't kicking my feet into the floor for fun. One time we had a dancing class in gym. It was like a duo dance type of thing, like they made us group into pairs and do a dance or something. Guess which day my friend didn't show up, and guess which day there was an odd amount of kids. I just danced alone in the corner while everyone else had like a group pair and they danced. That was a moment of all time. I don't really like gym class if that's not clear yet. It's not like I'm the most like not athletic person. I don't think I'm the most athletic person. I mean I play Minecraft all day, of course. But PE is just not for me. Gym class is just not for me, I guess. On the ride to the surgery, there was a car ahead of us that hit a duck, and in case you're interested what a car on the highway hitting a duck looks like, imagine a pillow filled with feathers exploding everywhere, and just so many feathers and feathers and feathers and feathers everywhere in the sky and the air and the ground everywhere. And the car didn't run over the duck. No. The car hit the duck, and then the duck was stuck under the front of the car. And when the car went over a speed bump, we could see the duck's head hitting on the ground, being dragged by this car, the duck's bill tapping on the asphalt, like a drum to a drumstick. It was just like just tapping on the ground. It was so disgusting. Eventually, the duck went under, and we had to dodge a duck corpse on a highway. That was an experience. And so the day of the surgery came, and I was there. I forgot what day it was. I forgot a lot of what happened that day, but I remember that in the waiting lobby, I leaned over to my mom and said, I have a bad feeling about this. There's something about this. I have a bad feeling. Eventually, they call my name, and I go into the room, and I get on the operating table. And if you remember, I have an ingrown toenail. That's what this whole surgery is all about. And they have to numb my toe to cut into it to remove the nail. And so they grab the syringe. The needle hits my toe. Needle sinks into my toe. And so they get the second syringe. And right when the second syringe hits my toe, I lean over to my mom again and say, I don't feel so good. And then I start to have a seizure. And this is where it gets a little weird. The story goes into like two parts here. What I saw and what my mom saw. I'll start with my mom first. Firstly, she started screaming and shouting to the doctor and everyone in the whole hospital. Call 911, call the police, help. And the doctor leaves the room to call 911, and according to my mom, the seizure lasted about 8 seconds. I don't remember how long it really lasted. It felt longer to me. What I remember, it was almost like a dream, but like way more fast and weird. I vividly remember what I saw. It's just like so hard to like say that, if you understand. It was like reliving life. It was like reliving memories. It was like flashing. It was so weird. It was like flashing memories of like old houses I used to live in. like really old and really random memories. I say flashing memories because it felt like I was only in like a specific memory for only like a few seconds. I wasn't able to act or do anything. It felt like a dream, but it felt so much more weird in a way. I also remember like a white haze effect on my vision. It's so hard to describe and like weird. What I found really odd was there was only old memories, no new ones of things in school, but rather when I was like a toddler running around in a field or like old houses and stuff. So when I woke up from my seizure, it felt like a few minutes had passed. It didn't really feel like a few seconds had. Neither my mom or the doctor was in the room with me when I woke up, which was very scary for a person that just had a seizure. Just like everyone leaving you. That was an experience. I remember waking up and hearing an ambulance sirens like getting louder and louder, like coming this way. Eventually the ambulance arrives and they try to check my blood pressure. They tried to check my blood pressure like 3 times, and all 3 times they couldn't get a reading. I don't have a blood pressure according to them in like the medical notes that we got. Like there was no blood pressure, like it was just NA. I crawl myself from the operating table to the ambulance's stretcher. My arms feel so weak, like way weaker than normal. They feel like twine. I'm so tired and so hungry. My mom and I take the ambulance ride to the hospital, and we're expecting our own room to be taken care of. But if you remember I said at the beginning of this story that this took place in the beginning of COVID, there was no rooms, bro. There was no rooms. There was people on stretchers in the middle of the hospital screaming. There was dozens and dozens and dozens of people, wall to wall, lined throughout all of the halls of this hospital. Just so many people. There was no rooms. Like no matter what you were doing, there was no rooms. So I sat out there in the hallway on a stretcher. There was this one guy that I remember super far down the hall away from me, thankfully, with no shirt, no pants. I hope he had something on. He was screaming about lizards. I don't remember too much of what he said, but I just remember something about lizards, just being like he was screaming and shouting for everyone to hear him. I asked the doctor in the hospital if I could have some snacks because I'm still so hungry. They only gave me these small saltine crackers. Excuse me, woman, can I just get like 6 sandwiches, please? Like, I just need so much right now. I don't need saltine crackers. I need like the entire bakery in here. I don't remember too much of being in the hospital after my seizure. I was just like way too hungry and way too tired and delusional to remember anything. I remember going home, getting a foot-long Subway, and I ate the entire thing, falling asleep, and sleeping for like 18 hours straight. It was the best sleep I've ever gotten in my life, and the most hungry I've ever been in my entire life after the seizure. It was the craziest thing. You will never get better sleep than after a seizure sleep. There is no better sleep than that. If there's one takeaway you should get from this story, is that if you or someone next to you has a seizure, make sure they are safe, of course, and then get them as much food as possible that can fit in their mouth, and let them rest. Just let them chill. You will be the person who just had a seizure is unbelievably tired and unbelievably hungry. Like, just give them so much food. Just give them all the food that you have. I hope you enjoyed this story. I hope you enjoyed this build going on in the background. If this video gets 5 likes, I will do another story time episode.